Hello everyone and welcome to EPL Index Transfer Daily on the 2nd of July. Obviously you're used to seeing Dave doing these shows, but I'm taking the reins for I think it's a week. And then you'll have Dave back, so don't worry about that. But yeah, there's plenty to talk about, plenty of transfers going on. It's really busy at the minute, so lots to discuss and dissect. It's really starting to pick up the pace. We have a club record signing to discuss today, a big move for Spurs, and Chelsea being Chelsea as always. So yeah, we'll just start with Chelsea. Once again, the busiest team this window so far in the Premier League. Um, Not by a country mile, but I think it's still the busiest. Already signed Tosin from Fulham, and Marc from Aston Villa. And they've confirmed another one today. It's been in the works for a while. It's been expected for a while. It's Marc Guiu from Barcelona. I might have mispronounced that. I'll be completely honest. Not the Crystal Palace defender. That is the Barcelona forward. They have triggered the 6 million release clause to bring Guiu to Stamford Bridge. And the reports say that he will be around the first team next season. He will not be loaned out. So it's an interesting one. The thing that caught my attention is a young prodigy from Barcelona only having a 6 million release clause. Doesn't happen too often. But he's everything I've heard about him is promising. Not a lot of experience, only 7 senior games. I'm pretty sure he scored 2 goals. Been involved in the Spanish youth setup, so he's clearly got a bit about him. And it'll be interesting to see how he fits in at Chelsea, obviously behind the likes of Nkunku and Jackson and their forward options. But it's kind of nice to see them doing a bit sensible business, not spending stupid amounts of money, only 6 million. It's pretty risk-free. Still awaiting confirmation on Keenan Dewsbury Hall, who's expected to join from Leicester. The reports are that they've agreed a deal of 30 million. Leicester were supposedly holding out for 40, but that seemingly isn't the case. So yeah, that's expected to go through in the next couple of days. It seems like we're just waiting official confirmation on that one. But yeah, that's about it for Chelsea. The link with the likes of Alexander Isaac of Newcastle, but I wouldn't be holding your breath to see that one go through anytime soon or anything advanced on that. So yeah, still staying in London, Spurs, as I mentioned before, have made a big move. They have reportedly agreed a fee with Leeds United for Archie Gray, the 18-year-old. That's expected to be between 30 and 40 million. So I think that's a brilliant signing for Spurs. We've seen in recent days like Elliot Anderson and going for 35 million, and I think Archie Gray, for the same price, supposedly, he's a much better player, much more versatile, much higher potential ceiling. And I really like that. I think I'm surprised there wasn't more top clubs going after him. Obviously, he had that medical at Brentford, and then that move fell through, and now he's going to Spurs. But I think that's a brilliant sign. Obviously, Brentford themselves haven't been too quiet in the transfer window either. They've missed out on Archie Gray, but today they have completed the club record signing of 30 million for Club Brugge forward Igor Thiago. He's probably not someone too familiar to a lot of people, but he's been a brilliant player for Club Brugge in the Belgian league, scoring 29 goals in 55 games as Club Brugge won the Belgian league title. And yeah, the 23-year-old, he's expected to be the replacement for Ivan Toney, who of course only has 1 year left on his contract. You've seen the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, Man United all linked with Toney, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere at the minute. Brentford's asking price was apparently way too high. They were after some crazy, I think it was about 80 million. There's no way they're going to get that, especially after the end of the season that he had once he came back. A bit underwhelming in my opinion. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, Brentford seemingly quite ambitious. They were willing to spend the money on Archie Gray, and they have spent the money on Igor Thiago, the striker, who is number 9, replacing Kevin Schad, who I'm pretty sure it was their record signing prior. He's now number 7, so definitely some ambition going on at Brentford. I know some people would tip them to struggle this season, but if they keep on going on with this attitude in the transfer window, then I think they could. I think they'll be okay. I generally do. But yeah, we mentioned there that Man United had been linked with Tony there. And for a forward has seemingly captured the headlines for most of the window, but it's actually a defender that's been catching the headlines in recent days for Man United. Reports have said that the Red Devils have opened talks with Matthias de Ligt of Bayern Munich, who is expected to leave this summer. I know the likes of Liverpool have been linked with a potential move for him, but nothing too advanced. A fee of 50 million is expected to be enough to sign de Ligt this summer. Obviously, just a few years ago, he was one of the highest rated centre-backs in the world. Everyone wanted him, one of the hottest prospects, and rightly so. He was brilliant. Since then, it hasn't quite clicked the same way for him. But that's British reports saying that Man United have opened talks, and reports from the Netherlands have said that they've actually offered him a 4-year contract. There's no mention on wages or any agreement with the club, but there's no smoke without fire, and it could be a bit of agents drumming up interest, but I don't know. It just de Ligt to Man United, it kind of makes sense. It's such a Man United signing, and I think it's a decent one. I think 50 million that can go 2 ways. Obviously, as any transfer can, but it's a crunch move for de Ligt. Obviously, he was at Ajax, when he Juventus, then Bayern Munich. He hasn't really found a home. Kind of always been on the move, but always still been quite highly rated because of the potential player to see. I think that could be a really good signing, but obviously, no transfer comes without its risks, and that one definitely does have risks. But yeah. Moving on to Newcastle, they've been active with the whole PSR. Minte going to Brian Anderson, going to Forest. We spoke about that yesterday. Dave spoke about that yesterday. But today it looks like Miguel Almiron is going to Saudi Arabia. And Callum Wilson could follow. Now, this has been 2 moves that have been expected for a long time. It seemed like the players, Almiron rejected a contract to go to Saudi Arabia in the past. It seemed like he was leaning towards maybe staying in one of the more competitive leagues, but with the PSR deadline, and I think Newcastle desperately needing the funds to rebuild their squad, those were the 2 names that were always very likely to make way this summer. And make of it what you will, Saudi Arabia is a pretty convenient destination for them to go, both for the club and for themselves. It'll be interesting to see what transfer fee gets banded with both players, whether it actually gets revealed. We don't know, but yeah, I mean, it was only a matter of time before those 2 players left. So, sticking with Newcastle, another potential outgoing. This one nowhere near as likely or advanced at the minute, but Liverpool do remain interested in Anthony Gordon. Of course, there was a big breaking story over the weekend that Liverpool had been offered Anthony Gordon, and Newcastle wanted Jarrell Quansah in exchange, and that was dead and buried before it even got up and going, really. But slight rumours and murmurs have remained throughout. But Liverpool remain interested in the move. But apparently Newcastle's asking price is way too high. But there is reports that Anthony Gordon has had his head turned, that's their phrase, not mine, by the possibility of a move to Anfield. A local lad from Merseyside. It wouldn't surprise me that he wanted the move. He's always been very open about wanting to excel in his career and move forward, and I think obviously Liverpool will be a good place to do that. But I do think this story is being a bit blown out of proportion. I think there's a long way to go before anything concrete happens or is close to happening. Might be one to keep an eye on over the course of the summer, but as it stands, I wouldn't be putting any money on it. I think it's a pretty blown out of proportion story. Obviously, Liverpool themselves would have to go through a wholesale of changes to make this move work as well, with Luis Diaz obviously linked with Barcelona and PSG, but again, nothing advanced. Diaz away with Colombia, Gordon away with England. This isn't something to worry about in the near future, especially with the PSR deadline gone and past. This is nothing to worry. This is something that might happen there on the window, but even so, it's still really unlikely at this point, in my opinion. But yeah, moving on from Newcastle, the last bit of real business today has been done by Aston Villa. Another one that's been in the works for a long time, for about a month now. It's been a pretty obvious, not very well kept secret, and that is that Ross Barkley has completed a permanent move to Aston Villa. Obviously moved to Luton last season and had a brilliant campaign for them, despite them getting relegated, and seems to be kind of reviving his career. You know, there's people saying that Barkley should have been in the England squad, and you know, you can have your own opinion. I mean, I don't think I would have went that far. I thought he was brilliant, but you know, 30 years old, it wasn't never going to happen. But I think it's a brilliant sign of Aston Villa. Really cheap move. You know, I think any of those teams in and around the European spots, especially Aston Villa with the extra Champions League games next season, I think this move just makes a lot of sense. Obviously, he has been there in the past, didn't quite work, but obviously, this seems to be a completely different Ross Barkley, mentally and physically. Really impressive last season. I think that's a really solid signing from Aston Villa. But yeah, that pretty much rounds up the news from today and the past few hours. But yeah, there's definitely a few moves to keep an eye on, but a long way to go in this transfer window. But of course, you can stay up to date with all the latest news and insight and opinion on all these transfer pieces at EPLindex.com. And make sure to check out the Transfer Daily Show every single day. Comes out every morning. I'll be doing it for the next week, and then Dave will be back for you guys who love Dave. So yeah, thank you for listening, and make sure you keep your eyes peeled for the next episode. And that'll be tomorrow. So I look forward to speaking transfers with you then. Thank you for listening.